Well, welcome in to the channel Tennessee podcast. It is March the 2nd. But my friends, we are definitely here to talk about what happened on March the 1st. And we all know what went down inside Thompson Bowling Arena, Food City Center, whatever you want to call it. It was one of the most craziest live moments I've seen in quite some time. Meshack with 3.8 seconds left in the game gets the inbound pass from Sakai Ziegler, goes down, launches a 40-foot shot, goes straight in the building, the roof blows off that building. Basically, it got so loud, so intense. Jordan, I know you weren't there. It's a shame. I bet you're pissed off that you weren't there. But me, myself, and Austin Brown were at that game. And let me tell you, that place erupted like I've never heard an arena erupt in my entire life. Because that place got so loud. It was the loudest pop, the loudest noise. Because everyone just popped at the same time when they saw that shot go in. But man, that was crazy. We'll talk about that. But welcome in to the Channel Tennessee podcast. I'm your host, Rainey, alongside Jordan Moore and alongside my good friend, Austin Brown. How we doing after yesterday? How we doing after yesterday, guys? Jordan, how you doing?
Doing great. Feeling great. Big win. Still kind of in disbelief of how it unfolded in that last minute. But you did what you needed to do to get a win. So it was a great weekend overall. You know, even talking about baseball too, right? Like you sweep down in Houston, you go 3-0. The baseball team looks just as good as they did last year. Maybe potentially better.
Don't. No, do not.
Hey, they look good. They look really, really good.
The man, Austin Brown, with the craziest takes in the history of ever, is telling you to don't.
Oh, wait. Here's the thing, here's the thing, too, is he's always harping on you and sometimes me about being Mr. Negative. Then the one time that I'm positive on this thing, I get a don't.
Because you don't have to say that. Why are people saying that? We just won the national title, and they're like, we might be even better. Like, what?
What's wrong with that?
The first 60-win team ever. It's just cool your jets, because fresh. Just cool your jets. Let's get, if we're like halfway,
cool our jets. That is wild.
We lost one series last year. Let's just wait.
Okay, all right. I'll go back to being Mr. Negative. I won't say anything positive.
That's good. Stop stealing my thunder, man.
But how we feeling, Austin, after yesterday, after being inside that arena? Man, that was something else.
Well, we already know that he thinks the baseball team sucks, so let's go ahead and move to basketball.
They're very good. They're the best team in the nation, but I'm not saying they're better than last year's. Okay, but that game yesterday, man, I didn't know where I was going until about 1 p.m. where my buddy Eric Taylor sent me a DM and was like, "Hey, you find a ticket?" I was like, "No." "You want to go half and half on some?" I was like, "Oh, it's a lot, but screw it. I want to go," And so we end up going. We're nosebleeds right behind the goal. I mean, not right behind it, like 20 feet in the air from it, but in that place when that shot went down, that is the single best moment I've seen in Thompson Bowling Arena, and it is not even close. I think it's probably is it the number one moment in that arena, history wise?
In my basketball watching life, I haven't seen a moment like that in Thompson Bowling. Not like that.
I think the only one that anyone argue would compare is Lofton over Durant, which happened at almost the same exact part of the court. But that didn't win the game. Durant went down the court and tied it, and we went to overtime. So I'm putting that one number one personally.
Yeah, that was wild, man. That whole game, the whole game, from just the matchups and the officiating, which was just horrible in the first half. It was just so awful. They made the game. I tweeted out during the game, as we're sitting at the game, I was like, "Is this as bad to watch on TV as it is in the arena right now with the officiating?" And everyone was just like, "This is horrible to watch. It's so bad." But after the refs stopped making it about them, that game that was just a classic game. Like, that game was just a classic. That's the best game I've seen all year. I'm like, am I going too far when I'm saying that? Like, that's the best game I've seen in college basketball all season.
I don't know. The officiating, man, it's so weird. But yeah, it was pretty great. I mean, Alabama. I mean, I've seen a lot of their fans say they will never get over that loss because they simply pissed down their leg at the end. They threw that away as much as you can throw away a game. I mean, that 5 second call. Nate Oates has timeouts. He's just not going to take it, I guess. And the foul on the when they're supposed to box out, they fouled Meshack. They kind of threw that game away. So from the Alabama perspective, all you're thinking is, holy crap, we just threw a huge opportunity in the trash, and we just pulled a miracle out of our ass. Kinda.
How do you let a team score 7 points in 30.5 seconds? 7 points was scored by Tennessee to win that game. Alabama scored 0. that's wild. I mean, that's crazy. 30.5 seconds. Tennessee manages to score 7 points in that little time span to beat Alabama. What are your thoughts, Jordan, on Alabama at the very end of that game?
That's what Austin said. They pissed down their leg. Like they did everything that they couldn't do to lose that game. From fouling Chaz there to try to get the and one, to fouling Meshack with the box out, to the 5 second violation, to not stopping the ball. Like they didn't even make Meshack, when he caught the ball in the end, they didn't even make him change direction. He just got a straight line up the court. Like everything that could have went wrong for them in that last minute, it went wrong. And like with the 5 second violation, somebody mentioned this to me earlier, and I went back and just double checked it. Like it may not add up perfectly, but I went back and watched the video, and I used a stopwatch. From the time the Alabama guy gets the ball in his hands, it was actually a 6 second violation, because according to my stopwatch, from the time he gets in his hands to the time the rest arm goes up, it was actually 6 seconds. So they gave him an extra second to try to get it in, and he still couldn't get it in.
Yeah, and you had all these
still didn't call timeout.
That's crazy. That is crazy. And you had all the Alabama fans saying, "Oh, it's only 4 seconds." And I'm with you. I'm sitting there counting on my finger. I'm like, how do you come up with 4 seconds log from the time the ball hits his hand? How do you come up with that?
Yeah, it was clearly 5.
Just like when Chris Davis stepped out of bounds against Alabama in the Iron Bowl. Like they're like, he stepped out of bounds. No, he didn't. He clearly didn't step out of bounds. So I don't know. But
Bama fans will make up excuses like no one else. They are excuse you, man.
Delusional fan base. Delusional fan base. There was a guy that said the game was like predetermined by the officials. So you're gonna tell me a 40-foot shot's predetermined? Okay.
Dude, do you know how many walks they got away with? There was about 3 walks they got away with.
That is one thing. If you ever watch a Tennessee basketball game, for everyone out there, ever watch a Tennessee basketball game, I want you to watch how many times the opposing team gets away with walks. It's out of this world. It is out of this world. The amount of times you're in the arena and you hear the fans scream, "Walk!" and you just look over at the coaches, they're doing this. It's crazy that they can just ice skate around and never get called.
I'll tell you the one thing I got sick and tired of seeing yesterday, and he does it every time we freaking play him. But I don't know if you guys notice this or not. Every time Mark Sears drives, he
flops his head.
Flops his head back every single. He won't even be touched, and his head goes back like he just got decapitated. Like
Chad Baker Mazzara 2.0.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head, Jordan. Like we're sitting there watching it, and he goes around a screen. It doesn't even get touched, and he flops his head. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you flopping like a fish out here? And their whole team is horrible at that. No one touches them, and they flop. Now, there was one instance, I can't remember if it was Sears or not. Did you see this on TV? Because no one was really talking about it. When I think it was Sears that went around a screen on defense, one of our screens, and just completely pushed our guy in the back. Okay, did you see that on TV?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did the commentator say anything about that? Because it was so
really
blatantly obvious that he just pushed the guy so clear. I had the best angle of it because I was on the backside of the screen, and he just rolls around the screen and just literally bully pushes our player, and I'm just everything the officiating crew was calling, and they don't call that. They were so whacked out of their minds in that game.
Well, and then I was infuriated the fact that they didn't call the foul when he stepped on Zakai's leg. He clearly steps on his leg and trips him, and it should have been 2 free throws, and they didn't call it and caused the top. Somebody texted me this yesterday, and as bad as the officiating was for 38 and a half minutes of that game, which it was awful, them basically swallowing their whistle the last minute and a half is the reason we won.
Yeah,
because as ticky-tacky as it was there at the end when Jemiah got the tie-up to cause the inbound pass, that's a foul earlier in the game because they were calling stupid stuff like that. There was the one play where Grant Nelson gets hurt and Meshack goes around him and just tips the ball away. And it should have been a foul on Grant Nelson, if anything, because he shoved Meshack away from it, and they call a foul on Jemiah. They were really ticky-tacky to the whole game, but then the last minute and a half, they swallowed their whistle, and that's kind of one of the reasons why we end up winning.
Well, great officials should do that, honestly. The last 2 minutes of a tight ball game like that should be decided by the players on the court. I mean, unless it's blatant, and I didn't see much blatant. I mean, they did get a couple fouls. I think they were at the line shooting at some point late in the game.
You should go tell that to the official that called the foul on Monte Turner in the Sweet 16.
Joe Lindsay. Joe Lindsay. I tweeted much about it. I was very angry.
I
was angry weeks later. I remember weeks later I was like
what? Weeks later?
Joe Lindsay.
It's 6 years later and I'm still pissed off about it.
I know, but it didn't help with the Great Wall of China having it most blatant worst whistle, the most BS whistle in the history of college basketball in the Elite Eight. The 2 greatest teams I've ever seen in Tennessee basketball history had their seasons ended by BS whistles when we're playing Purdue. It's just, and I hate them. They really do feel like the teacher's pet every time. They get so much unnecessary love, and I don't understand it. I hate Purdue. I hate Purdue with every fiber of my being. I hope Matt Painter. I won't go. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop before I say anything that I can be incriminated on.
How many times have y'all watched every video on Twitter of that all day?
All day.
I got up out of bed this morning and just all day from every angle, and I'm just trying to find all these new angles. And my wife, she found a new angle just a while ago and sent it to me. It was one of the coolest angles I've ever seen because it shows Josh Dobbs freaking out and running onto the court or running around when he made that shot. It was so awesome.
My favorite angle of it so far, as we were talking about this before we came on, Randy, is the fact that Barnes and Zakai were both trying to get a timeout. And you see them from the back side of them, and they're both screaming, timeout, 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 as the shot goes up. And Rick's arms just goes up in the air because he's mad. He doesn't even see it. He's looking at the official. His arms go up in the air. Zakai's looking back at the official as the ball goes in. They both turn around, both in shock, and they can't believe that what just happened.
Could you imagine if that timeout got called? As the ball went in. Oh my God.
Have you seen the one of Zakai yet?
No. Well,
Zakai,
I don't know.
So I think he believes they're going to give him the timeout because he's standing there and he doesn't see the shot because he turns his head to say something to the official because he's trying to get a time as the shot goes up. So he never sees it go in. And then he turns around because he sees everybody goes crazy. He just stands there with his hands to his side because I think he thought, oh, my God, they gave us the timeout. This isn't going to count. And he waits a good 15 to 20 seconds before he takes off running because he thinks, I just ruined this.
What would happen?
You know what that reminds me of? I love that you saw Dobbs running because that reminds me of the Hail Mary against Georgia when he runs up to Juwan after and Juwan throws a football out and he takes off for the football. He's like, I got to keep this. This is history. Man. He goes to the crowd, does the pom-poms. That was an awesome scene, man.
You think Zakai was mad that he didn't get to witness it? Because he was turning around. And thank God, because the official was looking up at the shot. He wasn't looking down at Zakai. If he would have glanced at Zakai for 1 second, that's a timeout. So thank the Lord.
And that official was never looking at Coach Barnes either.
Never.
He was watching Meshack with the ball coming up the court. If you go back and watch it, as soon as Meshack gets to about half court, Barnes is screaming timeout. And he's trying to get the ref's attention, but the ref's not looking at Barnes. He's looking at Meshack.
That's one of the biggest miracles ever.
Yeah.
He didn't see that.
You
Because
see John Rothstein watching it live. He said, Maychak's the last guy you want shooting this, and he makes it.
I felt so bad for Dick Vitale because he doesn't have the strength in his voice anymore. But that would have been just such an all-time call if he had like baby, like it would have been the most.
Well, the idiot who's calling it with him is overshadowing him, and he's trying to say like, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" But you can hardly hear it because of this idiot. Well, they ruined it. And he could at least gotten a raspy voice version.
Yeah, at least
a bit more emotional than what Bob gave us.
Yeah, he doesn't have the voice capacity anymore. Who cares? He's retiring.
Crapping on Bob on his way out the door.
All right, I'm gonna be Mr. Negative now because he just brought it up. That Bob, like I'm so ready for Bob Keston to move on. Like I get he's a nice guy. He's done a lot of great things. I understand. He is so bad at calling big moments like that. Like it's the same way when we beat Alabama in football. Go back and listen to that. Like there was no emotion in his voice, that ball going through the uprights. And there was like no emotion in his voice yesterday when that shot went in. It's like, I want a touch of homerism. Like give me some homerism in those calls.
Let me tell you.
Need to have. And I always joke with my friends, anytime something crazy happens, I make fun of Bob's call of the 2016 Hail Mary. I go, what a turn of events. Because that's all you had, man. A crazy Hail Mary, the craziest moment you've seen in 20-something years. You go, what a turn of events.
That is wild. But don't worry, my friends, because we have a guy named Mike Keith riding in on a white horse to make these calls. And, buddy, could you imagine if Mike Keith made that call yesterday? It would have been an all-timer.
I don't believe you.
I don't.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Like I cannot wait until the Syracuse game. I am 100% tuning that thing in on the radio. And whether I'm at the game, I'm going to have the headphones in, listen to the radio broadcast, or if I'm watching it at home, I'm going to try to get the radio broadcast synced up to the TV. From this point forth, if I'm not at the game, I am listening to the radio broadcast version.
God, I just
so great.
I cannot wait, dude. His calls are so magical. Like he even makes just the most boring sack sound. Like he could call a chess game and make it sound like the best chess game you ever listened to when you're watching your life. Like,
is he doing the spring game?
I don't know. That's a good question.
There is a radio broadcast of the spring game, right? Usually, yeah.
There is. So I guess he would be doing the spring game.
I don't know.
Because once basketball's over, Bob's done. Mm-hmm. So I guess
Bob. Bye.
But I can't wait for that. He's the calls oh my gosh! Like, could you imagine like the Hail Mary, John Jennings catch oh my Lord!
Could you imagine what Austin said, the Bama, the field goal? Oh man,
I could already hear him because every time on a field goal he'll be like, snap, set, kick, God! Like he'll freak out. But like when it's a game winner, he really freaks out on that.
I love it. I love it.
He like paints the picture of everything that's going on around you. Like you can visually see it in your brain.
He's the best.
It's amazing. He's amazing. Like
if he did call when he calls basketball, I bet he brings back bottom.
Maybe
I love that.
I think he's gonna bring his own little new energy. I think you're gonna see he's gonna like make so many new like little catchphrases. I wonder what his like football is gonna be now. I mean, I know he has like I don't know what his like because we had into the checkerboards and we have give him 6. I wonder what his is going to be. Like he's going to make something new up.
Is he going to keep sack?
Yeah, we'll keep that.
Yeah, he'll keep that. Okay, keep that.
I'm not even a Titans fan, and I love the whole touchdown. Like I love the whole touchdown.
Titans.
I love it. So maybe he tries to change that to touchdown Tennessee or something
Tennessee.
Like that.
It's going to be so nice to have someone in that spot who actually has a passion for their career instead of someone who just like clocks in and just has no emotion whatsoever. I don't hate him, but it infuriates me Bob had that job because Bob, like, that's a very, very coveted spot. and it deserved to have someone who would value it and perform to their best of their abilities. And I do not believe Bob did that. Bob did not do his best, and that pisses me off royally.
It did early in his career. He was pretty good, but then he got worse and just did like you said, like it's almost like he didn't care.
It's almost like the 15 to 20 years of football suck got to him, and he just melted in and didn't care anymore. Because it's like what Rainey says, when he first took the job, go back and listen to those early 2000 calls. He was really good with excitement in his voice, and then he saw really bad football for 15 years and just
doesn't suffering make it like
better?
You know, like when you come out of the suffering, it's so emotional. I don't know. Whatever. Sweet Satchel.
I get it. Oh, Sweet Stash.
I think it said Satchel. I'm blind. Oh my God.
Daddy Dunny chimes in and has another comment about your mustache.
That's Seth. But okay.
Daddy. Oh, it is.
Thank you.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so that game yesterday was absolutely insane. We got 2 more games left on the schedule. Is Tennessee going to do the typical Tennessee thing where they botch one of those games, or are they going to take care of business? What's going to happen? What you got, Jordan?
I think if they do botch one, it's Wednesday. I don't think they'll lose Saturday to South Carolina. This may come back and bite me, but South Carolina's terrible, and it's Zakai Meshach's last game at home. Chaz's last game. I don't think they'll drop that South Carolina game. I think they'll be ready for it. So if they drop one, I think it'll be the Ole Miss game. But I will say, and as weird as this may sound, this whole time I thought the Ole Miss game was on Tuesday night, but it's not. It's Wednesday night.
So big difference.
For some reason, to me, that gives me more confidence at the fact that we'll go down there and win. Just having an extra day of rest coming off this big emotional win, that gives me a little bit. And plus, it's not at 7; it's at 9. So I think I mean, last year, right? We've talked about this. Last year, you were playing for a number 1 seed, and you lost that Kentucky game at home at the end of the year. If you had won that, you're very likely a number 1 seed, and you don't play Purdue. You're back in the same situation this time, to where you win these last 2, and you're very likely the number 1 seed. Can you learn from the mistake you made last year and dropping a game and finish this thing out at 2-0?
Still angry over that crap. Reed Shepherd.
What do you got, Austin, the next 2 games? What you got?
I think we're going to win. I really do. I just believe it.
Me too. I think we're going to win both. I kind of going off what you said to me earlier this week when we were talking about the down the stretch schedule. I think it was last podcast, but Ole Miss is kind of slipping. They're not very good anymore. I don't know what it is. They're not really good like they were.
One of those teams. Yeah, they're not that good. They're just kind of like they're like the ultimate 6th seed. You know, it's just like they're gonna trip on themselves for a half a month, and do enough to tread water and get into the tournament. I think they're just not that good. In my opinion, like Jordan posted earlier, they don't rebound very well. They're
small. Like, I was shocked to see how small they are. The biggest guy is 6'9". Everybody else is like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4".
Wow.
They play good defense because Chris Beard got his old assistant back after he got fired at Texas Tech. But outside of that, that's the ultimate. Like, if Chaz can get us like 22 points, I definitely think we're pulling that one out. I feel like he shoots better on the road. I don't know why.
So what do we have to do to get number 1 seed? Like, what else do we have to do?
I think you have to win these last 2 and win the Friday game in the SEC tournament, and it's locked.
Well, nothing matters past that, actually. So yeah.
So,
but the season is over, in my opinion. After once Saturday hits,
I don't think losing on Saturday to a Auburn or Florida or Alabama or Missouri changes anything. I think win these last 2, win that Friday game, and you're locked into a number 1 overall seed. And this is going to be probably controversial, maybe not, I don't know. But if you do win these last 2 and you do win that Friday game, I don't give 2 shits what happens on Saturday. Lose it. Go to the house and sit on your butt for the next week. It won't happen. I'd play the damn walk-ons on Saturday and say, screw it. My guys are ready. You have 7 players that you can rely on right now, they need to get as much rest off their feet, rehab done before the NCAA tournament starts.
Okay. Just gonna put this out there because this is how I feel. The only thing that could change that opinion for me about the Saturday game is if we are playing the Kentucky Wildcats. I want to beat them.
Yeah.
I need that for my soul. Okay, I can't go 0-3 against the Cats. That is like, just can't do it. Okay.
I was talking about this with somebody yesterday, and they brought up the baseball tournament last year, at the SEC baseball tournament, and how it felt like those first couple of games we were just there to go through the motions, and then Mississippi State started talking their shit, and it's like, okay. And then they just turned it on, and then they beat Mississippi State. And then, oh, wait, we're playing Vanderbilt. We hate those guys. Then you beat Vanderbilt, and you wake up, and you're in the championship game. And you're like, let's just win this damn thing.
If we're here.
It would be pretty cool to win the Friday game, play Kentucky on Saturday, and be like, well, like what Austin just talked about. Let's not lose these guys 3 times. And the next thing you know, you wake up on Sunday, and you're like, well, shit, let's just go win the thing.
Here's my opinion.
I did have this thing pop in my head. What if that Kentucky loss in a row was the last loss of the whole season? That's a dream, I guess.
Well, here's my opinion on this. I could give 2 shits less if we go 0-3 against Kentucky and get a number 1 seed. I don't care. I don't care about that crap. That stuff I don't care. All of a sudden, you care about the weirdest shit. I don't care.
Yeah, I hate my rivals. I do. Yeah, it's crazy. I know.
It's just so bad that
I don't care.
It's so bad that when you look at Tennessee and you look at Kentucky, those 2 losses to Kentucky are literally the only reason you are not 100% stone cold locked into a 1 seed. And their 2 wins against us is the only thing that's having them a good. They're 19-10. If we beat them 2 times, they're 17-12. Like their whole season is built on 2 wins against us, and the only reason we're not stone cold locked into a 1 seed is because they beat us twice.
But if we get a 1 seed, regardless, I don't care if we go 0-3. Like that's I don't give a crap.
I'm very happy we're a 1 seed, but if we lost to Kentucky, I'd be pretty pissed off. Not gonna lie.
Why? Who cares?
Because I want to say
this doesn't matter.
We're like 1-5 against them in our last 5 games.
I don't care. I don't care. Stupid record.
Look, if we went 0-3 against them. Let's say we lost in the SEC tournament and you're 0-3, and then you get the number 1 seed and we make at least the Elite 8. I don't care.
Who cares?
Let them hang the banner. 3-0 against Tennessee. Oh, cool. Yeah, whatever.
Fair enough.
Cool.
But if we're in that game, I want to win it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, of course. But like,
no, I legit. If we're playing someone else, I might not want to win. I might want the rest more.
I'm serious. I just that kind of stuff that doesn't matter to me. It's like people. It's like people making fun of people when they get to the title game. Oh yeah, we beat you. Like, I don't give a shit. What are you doing? You're sitting on the couch. I don't care. Guess what we're doing? We're playing for the title. Like that kind of stuff gets on my nerves. It's like, well, we beat you. I don't care if you beat me because you're not playing for a big game. We are. Like that stuff just doesn't matter to me.
I agree. I agree to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy the rivalry stuff like that. Back in the day, college football, that was your playoff games, those rivalry games, whatever. New world. Regular season doesn't matter in any sport. Whatever.
It does.
Isn't this crazy? We had 2 buzzer beaters this year, the Gainey and now the Meshack one. And I think that's the first 2 buzzer beaters I can remember since Brian Williams laid that in against Georgia in Bruce's last year. That's crazy, man. I hate to say this, and feels kind of like a team of destiny. I don't know. Just gonna put that out there. It has those vibes.
I think it's like what Rainey said back in December. This is going to be the team that makes the Final Four run because it's the team that's least expected to make the Final Four run.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the baseball team winning the national championship last year, right? Nobody expected that team to win the national championship, but somehow, some way, they end up being the team to win the national championship.
Well, it's just like the '98 Tennessee Vols.
Yeah.
No one expected that. Like T. Martin or Peyton John.
And I'll say too, I don't know if you guys saw it earlier, but the latest bracketology that Lenardi released. Have you guys saw the bracket that we're in and who he's got us projected to play? I'll take that right now. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin as a 2 seed playing Michigan State's in your bracket. St. John's is in your bracket. Give me that all day over playing the rest of those teams that he has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw that bracket earlier. It was pretty nice. Tennessee as the 1 seed
Yeah.
in that bracket. So if we have, listen, I think when you're talking about what I said back in December, this team is built like a March team. It is like this is a team that is built like a team that can go far in the tournament because Akpara is really starting to turn it on. He really is. Like he's starting to become a pretty big factor down low with rebounding, and he's starting to actually, realize that he's tall and using his height to actually like dunk the ball instead of like try to lay it in and miss it and all that stuff. But you have players like the likes of Gainey. Also, you just mentioned the buzzer beater earlier in the season. Gainey yesterday couldn't miss. The dude was so hot.
He stepped up big time.
And yes, he did. And that's what I mean when I say that this team is built to go on a run. They can go on a run because every night it seems like somebody else is carrying it. And I asked this question to Austin last podcast. Who's the most crucial player for you, Jordan, going into this tournament that needs to be that guy?
My initial reaction was to say Lanier, just because he can get so hot and carry you, kind of like we did at Texas A&M. But then at the same time, my second reaction was to say Gainey, because it just seems like Gainey is just like the piece that just brings it all together for some reason. When he's playing well, everybody else plays well. But then at the same, like we've heard all growing up, right? Like what wins a march is guard play. Like you've always heard that. You have 3 senior guards that can play. Zakai, Gainey, Lanier. Then you got in Meshack, who's a wing, who's an experienced wing. You also hear experienced teams win in March. You're one of the most experienced teams in college basketball. So you have all the ingredients to be one of those teams that makes a run. And you're going through the toughest conference in college basketball. The talent you're playing now compared to what you're going to play in the NCAA tournament, like you're very likely not going to run into an Alabama, a Auburn, a Florida until you probably get to the Final Four. Like the SEC is so tough. Like you're playing really good teams that are like Sweet 16 to Elite 8 caliber teams almost on a nightly basis. So the talent level you're going to see once the NCAA tournament comes, you're going to be prepared for whoever you play and whoever you see.
So you're saying that he's your pick? That's the most crucial player?
Lanier?
Gainey?
Lanier?
Yeah, I think Gainey, because Gainey can or excuse me, no, sorry. Lanier. I think Lanier is just because he's got to be a guy to get to 18, 19, 20 points to carry you.
Austin, what was yours the other day? You said, and I'm going to give you mine.
Igor.
You did say Igor.
But you know what? I think it's a kind of a mishmash thing. Like, I think it's one night it's Meshack, the other night it's Igor, the next night it's Gainey. I feel like somebody just has to kind of step up a little more than their average, and that should pull you out some games. That seems how it usually goes. So I'm just gonna say, like, Jordans just agree with each other, don't they? I'm not even gonna put an answer to that because I feel like it could be anyone on any given night.
Okay.
Someone has to put an above average performance out there. Either it's Igor, either it's Meshack. I will say though, I said Igor, but I feel like the games where Igor scores a lot, we don't win for some reason. Do you guys see that too?
I haven't really paid that much attention to.
I think it was maybe both Kentucky games.
Yeah. Okay, so you don't really have an answer. I've got 2 comments I want to get to. First is Megan's comment. Watch out, Rainey sounds like a sunshine pumper. I'm going to get to that. And Jordan Taylor comments, Gainey should be a starter. He'll die on that hill. I know that Jordan's just got a little baby boner. Listen to that. So
I can't. No, I can't say anything because I'll get ripped to shreds on.
But here's my take on the watch out Rainey's a sunshine pumper. I'm seeing a team that's playing well, but I've said this a million times. I will not trust it until I see it. I will not get excited until I actually see it. And Austin's rolling his eyes because Austin just says,
What does
doesn't
that mean? What does that mean? I won't trust until I see it. Like, I mean,
Because, but
that's
look,
pretty simple.
I mean,
saying.
you can say this. What I'm getting ready to say, you can pretty much say this for any team in the NCAA tournament, but we're looking at this from a Tennessee point of view.
Yes.
It takes one bad night.
Yes.
One bad night. But the problem as a Tennessee fan, looking back at our history the past 8 years, we've had that one bad night pretty often.
Yes.
And so I agree with Rainey on that, which is it's literally going to take one bad shooting performance. I mean, we've not really had one of those in a couple of games, but it's literally going to take one bad shooting performance from across the board. Like last year, right? Purdue, Dalton was the only one that did anything. Zakai didn't show up. Nobody else did anything. Literally, it could be a game where Chaz scores 30, but if nobody else pitches in,
the only reason I rolled my eyes was that I always think that it's like, yeah, obviously it could all go bad one night. I understand that.
No,
yeah.
what I'm saying is what Jordan is saying. I'm looking at this as a Tennessee perspective. This is a Final Four roster, okay? This roster is a Final Four team. And I'm not going to believe we're going to make the Final Four until I witness it happen. Because every single year, every single year we get to the season. And what does every commentator and analyst say? This is a Final Four team. So I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to get excited. I'm going to keep my cup on. And when we start advancing, I'm going to be like, okay, let's roll. But like Jordan said, you have one bad shooting night, and it happens way too often. And it does. It does. You can roll your eyes and shake your little bobblehead all you want to.
What a fool believes.
I would tell you my biggest fear is us getting that 1 seed and UConn getting a 9 and us playing UConn in the second round.
Screw them. They don't have a point guard.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Let me end their season. I don't care. It's like Villanova when they won those titles. They'll have that off year in the middle of it. I agree. If you have a bad night, it could. You know what's weird? This doesn't even feel at all like the greatest Tennessee basketball team I've ever seen. I think that Kenny Chandler team might have been better than this one, but the fact that this team could be the number 1 overall seed, or I mean not overall, but first number 1 seed in program history is just like, it is a hell of a coaching job and hell of a
it is.
This isn't even an easy year. Like this is the toughest year in the history of the Southeastern Conference, and the toughest year in the conference, and maybe the best year for a conference ever. It's unreal.
That's so crazy. Like that's a really good point, Austin. Like this is probably Barnes' 4th best team at Tennessee. Like the 2019 Grant Admiral team is clearly number 1. The Dalton Connect team is clearly number 2. I think the Kenny Chandler team is number 3. And this team is probably number 4 when you just look at it across the board at the roster as a whole. But then you say, okay, this is probably Barnes' 4th best team. But then you add in what you just talked about. This is probably the toughest the SEC's ever been. And you're going to finish probably as the 2 or 3 seed and win 25, 26, 27 regular season games. Like, then that's the case to say, well, maybe this is the best team that he's ever had just because of how tough the conference is that you just went through.
I think
has a 98 vibes. I'm just gonna say, like that wasn't the best team in Tennessee football history. That wasn't even the best team in the 90s. That 98 roster wasn't. But they just won the game. So what are you gonna say? I mean, they won all their games. I mean, this team just keeps winning. I mean, what have we won? Like 7 out of 8 games. And 2 top 10 matchups. I mean, I don't know what A&M is in at this point. I don't know if they'll win a game again. But old Buzzball is going down in flames. But it really says to what a coaching job this has been, and it does show you what senior leadership will do you, because having a point guard like Zakai and Meshack, and I mean Chaz is a 5th-year guy along with Igor. I think he's 4th or 5th year. It shows you what experience will get you, and just really impressive. I want this to happen so bad. Let's just do it.
I I think everyone wants to see it happen so badly. And I think people want to see it so badly. And I think that's why people do get frustrated. That's why I get frustrated, because we always have these teams that can do that. And so do what?
And they don't.
Yeah. Well, this team is what I'm piggyback off what I said a little while ago. There's every night someone else shows up. It's what your exact answer, Austin, was perfect to what I'm saying right now. Of you don't really have a player because you don't know who's going to show up every night. You don't know who's going to be like last night. Gainey was red hot. It felt like he didn't miss a shot the whole night. He literally, Jordan Gainey last night literally kept us in that game and brought us back in that game. And Meshack last night was just a monster on rebounding and defense and everything. Chaz had kind of I wouldn't say quiet night, but quieter than normal.
He gave you just enough.
Just enough. And then Zakai, was Jordan Gainey was our leading scorer, right? He was our leading scorer. I think
him and Chaz both had 18 and Zakai had 15.
Okay.
Zakai's 2 threes though late were massive.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the one where we were down 9 and we had nothing going and they just had to give up on the possession and shoot a desperation 3. And it just it was such a weird shot. Like it went kind of like down, you know.
The thing with this team too is they're a second half team.
Yep,
big time.
They play so much better in the second half compared to the first half.
Yeah, and that's something like Austin was right when he says when Rick Barnes usually sits someone, he gets pissed out of them, sits them on the bench, and kind of gives them an earful. They come out and they do play differently, and that is on Barnes. Barnes gets them motivated to come out and play.
I think Bob Knight said one time the greatest motivator in the history of time is sitting someone's ass on the bench.
Yeah,
ass meets bench. Ass sends signal to brain. Brain sends signal to body. Player plays better. It's a whole it's an amazing sequence of things.
Yeah.
It's the best motivator. It's old school as hell, and I love it. Man, I just
you want to see it really bad.
I you know me. I love Rick Barnes probably too much at this point. I really do love the guy because he reminds me people I grew up with, and he's just a good Christian man, and you want it so bad for him, and he's great, but doesn't have the accolades necessarily that he should deserve because he doesn't perform well in March. It's the only issue he's ever had is his performance in March, and you just want it so bad. I want to see him lift that freaking national championship trophy up. I want to see him cut down those nets, man. It's just we deserve it too. This basketball program is one of the most accomplished basketball programs. Do not have enough accolades in the tournament. I don't think any if the season ended in the regular season, I mean you based it off of the rankings and whatever, we would be probably a top 15, top 20 all-time program, but we're not even close to that because we just shit down our leg in the tournament so many times.
So that website KenPom that does all the analytics and everything, it goes all the way back to 1997. So they rank your program based off of wins and losses and your metrics and stuff since 1997. It has us like the 13th or 14th best program in college basketball since 1997. And we're the only one, I think, inside the top 20 without a Final Four appearance.
Damn.
Yeah, that hurts.
I want nothing more because you guys know how big of a fan I am of Zakai.
Mm-hmm.
I want nothing more than Barnes and Zakai to get to the Final Four. Like as Zakai's senior season, just get me to a Final Four with those two guys, and I'll die a happy man.
Yeah, it's weird because where I sit in the arena, I sit 322, which is right in front of where all the banners hang in the arena. And you have all the tournament appearances, and then you have the banner to the left of it, which says all the Sweet 16s, Elite Eights. And it's just a couple Sweet 16s, a couple Elite Eights, and then that's it. That's it.
We made a good bit of Sweet 16s. I think.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, the banner looks empty.
Yeah.
The banner, every other banner is filled up, and this one is just so empty. So yes, yeah. So that's
and think about the two times that you did go to the Elite Eight with the Final Four on the line. Scotty Hobson goes to the free throw line on a 1-on-1 with a chance to really put you up 2 possessions with less than 30 seconds to go, and he clanks the front end of a 1-on-1 that allows Michigan State to go down and take the lead. So that knocks you out of it. So you were basically 30 seconds away from a Final Four. And then last year, I think with like 3.5 minutes to go, you were tied 56-56. And then just the last 3.5 minutes, you ran out of gas.
That game's a blur to me. I'll be honest. I'd never want to see another clip of that game again. I drove up to Detroit for that crap. Ugh.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
That
that.
was so bad. I've never in my life. I didn't cry when we beat Bama. I don't know. I never cried tears of joy in my life. Never once in my life have I ever cried tears of joy. I don't understand why. I'm just not programmed like that. I've cried tears of sadness though, and the only time though I've ever cried tears of sadness in a stadium was walking down the steps of Detroit's arena, just like, when is this ever going to happen? You know, it's just it hits you like it. Yeah, man, you just get so invested into this basketball program, and then you just get the ultimate gut punch and your heart ripped out like no other.
Well,
It's so hard to do it this many times. And my God Almighty, I need a Final Four. I need some like at least Kentucky fans can't say that anymore.
Well,
Yeah,
you know
need
what
it.
they're gonna say as soon as we get to the Final Four. We have no national titles. That's all they're gonna say. That's all they're gonna say. They're just gonna move to the next one.
Like in the arena before the game, I saw an Alabama fan with their stupid Alabama fan with their Alabama Final Four hat. Oh God, why did you give it to them? Why did R.J. Davis have the single worst game of his career for North Carolina when they played them? And got Alabama a freaking Final Four. That NATO's that freaking TikTok basketball fraud. I don't think he's a good coach. I mean, he's not a bad coach, obviously, but I just don't think that style is like that's not good basketball.
You can't say he's a bad coach when he's won a lot already at Alabama. So.
He's not a bad coach. I think his style of basketball, I have no respect for it. You want to see Rick Barnes and this team win so bad. And I believe, I'm on the negative side of watching the basketball because I want to win so bad. And I've always had the opinion you are very much there.
But I've always had the opinion. I've always had the opinion of people that get pissed off care the most. Like, that's just my opinion. If I'm not getting pissed off, then I just don't really care. I don't care. So the more pissed I get, the more sweeter it will be if we are able to get there. That will be a moment where I get emotional because I put, like you said, you invest so much into this, and you invest your life, you invest your emotions, your anger, your happiness, you invest every bit of that in one season. And so when it comes to like the negative side of it, that's why I'm so negative, because I want to see it so damn bad. And when it doesn't happen, I get so damn mad. So I just, that's my fandom, is I get extremely angry because I care so much, too much, I would say, because I want to win so bad. I want to get there so bad. That's why I get so angry and so negative and so just like, I want to get there so bad.
Jordan, I want to know if you agree with this opinion. Do you think Auburn's going to be that team that just like they're going to go win this tournament? That's going to happen. They want to win everything. Like, they're so obsessed with getting everything. I mean, they play Broom when he's like only like 50% healthy every single night. It just feels like they're that team that's going to just like wear themselves down this season, and then they're going to come out with no gas for March and get taken out like in the second round. Do you think that could happen, or do you think they're going to easily make a Final Four?
No, I think that can definitely happen too. I definitely think. I also think that's a situation with like Duke. Like, everybody talks about Duke. Duke hasn't played anybody worth a shit in like a month and a half. Like, they're beating up on a really bad ACC right now. Like, just blowing them out.
Historically bad.
It's like really bad. And they've not really played anybody, in 2.5, 3 months, like since the middle of December. It's the last time they played a team with a pulse. So I think Auburn and Duke are two teams that potentially you look up in the Sweet 16 and they could be kind of going home early instead of making a Final Four run like a lot of people are thinking they are. Just to your point of Auburn maybe running out of gas and Duke finally running into somebody that can match them.
Mhm.
I don't know about Auburn, man. Every time I watch them, they're good. They're so good.
They're
Like-
really good.
Like you watch yesterday's game, like, oh, this might be a pretty good game. No, they blow Kentucky out of the water. It's just Kentucky out of the water. And isn't that weird, Jordan and Austin? Like how two conferences can just flip that quick. Usually a conference, it takes a little bit for the conference to decline. ACC, it seemed like it declined overnight. And the SEC all of a sudden becomes the most dominant conference in college basketball overnight. That's just crazy.
I mean,
Well, you had
it's just-
Roy Williams retire, you had
Mhm.
Coach K retire, you had Jim Boeheim get old and retire. So there's 3 Hall of Fame coaches right there that walked out of the ACC. Then the
Patino out
SEC
at Louisville.
Yeah, Patino out at Louisville. Then you had the SEC hire Rick Barnes. They hired Nate Oates. They hired Bruce Pearl's back in the conference. Like they're coaching, Chris Beard's a really good basketball coach. He's got Ole Miss competing. So the SEC hired really good coaches while the ACC, all their good coaches retired.
Here's what it is. The SEC just simply cares more about athletics than every other league, and it ain't even close.
I
mean,
agree with
Ohio
that.
State, Michigan, they do care. But out of a few of them, we are giving you every resource to win. And we're damn sure of it. Like I don't know how, but hell, I think Tennessee has more resources right now than like North Carolina. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane, but it's not a coincidence that this is the conference that also dominates baseball, also dominates, well, football. I had a little down here, but whatever. Dominates women's softball, dominates women's basketball. It's just typically this conference. It's just like the moniker said. It just simply means more. It sounds corny, but it's just damn true.
That
No
is
matter
true.
what we do, it's true.
Like that is so true because I feel like SEC is the only conference that puts legit money into every sport. It seems like even like I feel like take women's softball. I mean, you got Alabama's, you got the Tennessees, you got like all those, like they even put money into those programs. It's so corny. Also, like it just means more. Like, and I hate when people like chant SEC. No, I hate the SEC. I hate them with a passion. I can't stand every team in this whole entire conference. But you're right, Austin. Like they put the most money into everything they do. I mean, look at Ohio State. They only put money into one thing: football. Nothing else. Nothing else. Like,
I
they
mean,
just.
they did get a national title, though. I'll take that.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Like,
yeah,
you know where I'm
understand.
going with that.
Yeah.
Like, they put money into one thing. Like, SEC seems like they put money into every sport they have.
Is it weird that it kind of feels like, oh, SEC got like almost bored with football for a minute?
Yeah.
Like it's like everyone's like, let's win some other stuff. We kind of own football. I mean, at least Alabama does and Georgia. Oh man, this conference is a hellraiser kind of conference. But I do think Auburn's clearly the best team, and they will win the conference tournament because they are obsessed with that. But I do think they might be the kind of team like I get the vibes that the Brandon Miller Alabama team gave me. They're just running so hot, and then they just run into a team that's really going to give them hell, and they're going to have an off game and get sent home early. I mean, hell, Auburn's best team. Auburn's best team ever, I think, got sent home by like Miami, didn't they?
Dude, this is the best Auburn team.
This is
ridiculous. But I don't think Alabama's as good as they were in previous years. They're not. They're not even close. As good as shooting team as they were. But
they're very sloppy.
Yeah, they do look sloppy at times. Yep.
They gave a lot in that game. I will say though, they were playing defense as hard as they can play it.
Good defense. I'm going to go real quick.
The steals are a problem for us.
Yeah,
turnovers, man.
I'm gonna go back and revert and answer the question I asked earlier. Who is the player that you think these have biggest impact? Jordan, you took the obvious one. Chaz, also you didn't really have an answer. I said this last podcast. Mine's Phillips. Would you guys agree with that? Because I feel like he is a spark plug anytime he's in the game. And I feel like he is a guy, he doesn't even have to play that much, but like when he's in the game, he's in the game. And he makes a play to turn the game almost around. Like he made a couple plays in the game yesterday that it just kind of gave the team a little spark. And like they started playing harder because like he comes in and he plays a different level of like aggressiveness. And I feel like the team kind of feeds off that when he's in there and they all start getting really aggressive. So I feel like, in my opinion, that Phillips is a big factor if Tennessee wants to make a run in March.
He does give you that emotion. I like that.
Mhm.
I mean, he is coming with fresh legs, and that's part of it. If he played, 25 minutes a game, he probably wouldn't have that same kind of energy. But I do like what he brings you, and he definitely. I mean, you need him desperately because you need everybody on this team desperately. Honestly, Dubar deserves some credit for those 2 threes he hit.
Yeah, those are crucial.
You don't win the game, Theo. That's what I'm saying though. That's kind of what I've been saying. I can't put one player. I can't say it's one guy because it has to be like a collection of dudes. Like I know Chaz is gonna at least give me 15, but we got to get just enough from everyone else, and I can't put it on one guy. I will say with Meshack or Gainey though, when they get into double-digit scoring, we typically that's our best performance.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, Meshack, if you can just be a little bit of something like you've been, like you were showing in the end of that game, and have a little more touch at the rim like he had late in that game. I do think that could be major. Jordan, do you think Igor has one more 15-plus point game in him? Yeah, I want in a minute.
Yeah, I definitely do. He's been struggling of late. I know he had a calf strain or something like a few weeks back, and he's still wearing the sleeve on his calf. So I think he may still be kind of dealing with maybe like a small injury or something that's kind of just limiting. But what's happened is to combine with him, A, having the injury that's kind of limited him a little bit, B, him struggling. Now what they've also found out is Meshack can play the 4 and be effective doing it. And that's took minutes away from Igor too. Because putting Gainey, Lanier, and Zakai on the floor together that's the key to everything. And there for a while they weren't doing that. It was one or the other with Meshack or Gainey. We're never really both on the floor at the same time. And then like the last 4 to 5 games, they've kind of squeezed Igor's minutes down a little bit because of him struggling in the minutes and his calf strain. And they've basically had to be forced in to kind of put in Meshack at the 4. And it's basically unlocked a lot of stuff for the roster, for the lineups, for the team, everything. And that's why you're seeing Igor not play as much down the stretch the last handful of games because they went to the, quote unquote small ball lineup with Meshack at the 4. Like they closed the Vanderbilt game at home with that lineup. They closed the A&M game down there in College Station with that lineup. And then yesterday they closed the Alabama game with that lineup. So they figured out Meshack can be an effective basketball player playing the 4. And it's kind of similar to what they did with Triple J. For 3 years, they played Triple J at the 3. And he was never really the play. Everybody talked about how he wasn't a 5-star player and he was overrated and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera with Triple J. And then they magically put him at the 4 last year and he turned into a very good basketball player. And I think you're starting to see the same thing with Meshack. You're finally putting him in a role that better suits him on both ends of the floor.
Yes, he can defend literally anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking on Igor, he has so many undisciplined fouls. Like he so many times he just put his hands on someone. It's like, what are you doing, dude? But
that game yesterday from him was just atrocious.
Oh, he's awful.
Oh, it was atrocious. Like he made so many bad decisions. So bad. But there was this guy, in front of me. He started talking about Dubar earlier. And Dubar got the ball. He's like, don't shoot it. And he shot it and one went in. And then he got the ball again. He's like, don't start shooting. And then it went in again. He's like, I'm going to shut up. That was so funny.
You just got enough on offense, man. Every time. Chaz, there were so many like moments you kept thinking back to, like obviously getting out rebounded, like that was ridiculous. I like that's what shocked the hell out of me by 10, I think. And Chaz missed like I think three pretty good look threes early in that game, and you just had that feeling like, yeah, we need to hit those. And then Zakai missed four straight free throws on back-to-back possessions. Just those little moments you felt like, yeah, we didn't make up in those, and we deserve to lose because of that. And got on our side. I don't know. We pulled it one out of our ass, man. I love that. You remember how hyped this Alabama team was coming into the year? They were preseason #1. Everyone was like, just like acting like they will be the national champions. Basically, they're talking about this is the best team, maybe in like SEC history or some crap like that. And they are. I mean, I guess they're still like contending for a 1 seed, but
What I don't know if you guys saw this in the arena, but they mentioned, I don't know if you went back and watched the TV broadcast yet, but I can't remember exactly at what point it was in that end of game sequence. But at one point, they came back from a commercial break at the end of the game. It had to be like a minute or less left in the game. And they said that the Alabama players coming out of the timeout was pointing at the Alabama across their chest at everybody because they were up like 4 or 6, I think, at the end of the game with 40 seconds to go. And they came back, and Carl Roberts said, coming out of the timeout, the Alabama players were pointing at their chest, pointing at Alabama to the fans across their chest. And then they go on to blow the game.
and then you saw Lanier right at the game going like this.
And he's doing this.
Yeah.
Have you heard the story about apparently Nate Oates talking crap to Meshack towards the end of the game?
Oh.
So no. You know the play where Grant Nelson got hurt? Meshack tried to tip the ball away and Grant Nelson got hurt. So apparently,
wasn't even a foul, I don't think.
Apparently, Nate Oates said something to Meshack, and Meshack got up chirping back at him, and Nate Oates was chirping back at Meshack. And if you go back and watch when Meshack hits the 3, he immediately turns to the Alabama bench and stares straight at Nate Oates as he's walking down the other end of the court after he hits the shot.
Oh, that's what he's moving so slow for.
Yeah, he was like, staring at Nate Oates
because he wasn't like celebrating yet. He was okay. Wow, that makes sense. Holy crap!
God, I love that. I love hearing stuff like that because it's like it adds layers to this whole story. Man. Oh God, let's make a Final Four. Let's make a Final Four.
All right. Well,
I just don't want to like have to view this season as well. That was all fun. And we lost to I don't know Michigan State in the Sweet 16.
Okay, so to close out this podcast. Yes or no? Do we make Final Four? Jordan, do we make the Final Four?
Well, since considering I was too positive to begin the show, I'll do Austin a favor and just like I said in the group yesterday, no, not happening that way.
Dude,
every time Jordan says something in the group text, the opposite happens.
I am not lying to you. When I saw that text pop up on my phone with like 5 minutes to go in the game or whatever it was, because it was right, like when you sent that, we were that's when we finally got momentum and tied the game. Is it? Yeah. You remember this?
If I remember correctly, I sent that with about 8.5 to go in the game, and it's when they went up 66-58, and I texted and said, "We're not winning today." And the next thing I know, like 2 minutes later, it's 66-66.
Maybe that's when I saw it because I only saw it when it was tied, and I was like, "Yes, that's all the luck we needed, Jordan." Please, but you can't do it all the time. Just do it when you feel it, okay? When you feel it, it has to be natural, like that whole it has to just. Did you send that? I remember you sending that. I think in the Texas tournament game too, and obviously the best one was the Florida State College World Series.
Yep.
Yes or no, Austin? Yes or no? Did we make a Final Four?
Well, the only time Rick Barnes has ever been a #1 seed, he's made a Final Four. Let's go to the Final Four, baby. Let's make Tennessee basketball history. It's not that crazy, really. Think about everyone that will be a 2 seed or lower. We should probably beat them. Okay, Florida kind of would scare me, but
okay.
I wouldn't like to see Kentucky just because of how that's gone.
Well, what you just said, we should beat them. You already know my answer because I said it earlier in the podcast. I got to see it to believe it, and I won't believe it till I see it. I'm going to say no because I will not believe it till I see it. 2 no's against your 1 yes. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. But anyways,
dude, you gotta have faith.
you got.
I'm
You were
like
very
just,
musical
I'm just
tonight.
spitting out. I just drove back from Chattanooga and I was listening to nothing but like yacht rock the whole way.
Oh
Billy
my
Joel,
God.
Hall & Oates. just oh man. We gotta
get
do
there.
this. We
gotta
gotta do
get
this.
there. We gotta get
Really, my whole thing is just like should happen. I mean, really, I look at every team we would face. Like, not many teams scare me, and I really think there is something to that. I think outside of the SEC, it's just not that dominant. Like, I think St. John's. I wouldn't like to play St. John's, but I think we'd probably win. Would you say we'd beat St. John's, Jordan?
Yeah.
Even though Patino is an amazing tournament coach.
Yeah.
That'd be like 2 polar opposites for Barnesworth Patino, even though they're so similar, but very different. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
If it's in Atlanta, I will be there.
That's not that far of a drive. Not that far. All right, we got 2 no's and 1 yes. We'll see if Austin's yes comes true because March is here, guys. We're 2 days into March, and the tournament starts in this month. So we will see and find out. But man, good podcast, guys. I really enjoyed that. That was fun. Jordan, thanks for coming on. Austin, I don't really care. You're always on here. But good night. Go Vols. God bless. We'll do it again next week. Peace out, my friends.